will assist you. So good evening again, and thank you for joining us. It is so great to be with you all. I'm pleased that such a wide array of local residents, organizations, stakeholders, and elected officials were able to attend our final public hearing of 2023. I can't believe it's gonna be 2024. We're glad to be seeing all of you joining us both in person and online. The MCSW was legislatively created in 1998 as an independent state agency seeking to advance equality for women across the state and to promote their rights and opportunities. The commission consists of 19 volunteer commissioners who are appointed by the governor, Senate President, Speaker of the House of Representatives, and the Caucus of Women's Legislators. The commission represents and recognizes all women, regardless of their age, race, color, creed, abilities, language, socioeconomic status, immigration status, sexual orientation, or gender assigned at birth. Together, our purpose is to provide a permanent, effective voice for women throughout Massachusetts, but we can't do this work without all of you. The MCSW seeks your input as we work toward advancing the status of women, both in the Essex County and across the Commonwealth. After today's event, we'll be circulating a survey, and we hope that you take the opportunity to share your voice and your feedback with us. I am now going to ask my sister commissioners to each briefly introduce themselves, starting with those in person and then those of us online. So I'm going to start it off with Vice Chair Commissioner Tuitt.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Meredith Tuitt. I am Vice Chair of the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women. I'm Chair of the Legislative and Public Policy Committee. I am from Boston, the section Dorchester. I'm appointed by the governor. I'm excited to be here with everyone in the room and online. And I am a United States Navy veteran, so I represent female veterans on the commission.
I was looking at the lineup, sorry. Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Dr. Aisha Miller. I am the chair for Program and Planning Committee, and from Boston, specifically, Mattapan.
Hi, my name is Gamal Carvalho. I am Vice Chair of the Legislative and Public Policy Committee. I live in Natick and was appointed by Senate President Karen Spilka.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Christine Monska. I'm Secretary of the Commission on the Status of Women, and I'm also chair of our Girls Empowerment Leadership Initiative. I'm serving my second term here on the commission as an appointee of the Caucus of Women Legislators. And in my day job, I'm the executive director of the Women's Fund South Coast. So happy to be with you all tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Julie Fox from the wonderful town of Freetown, that's down the road. My son, oh, I knew that. It's right on the top.
It's on now, right? Yeah. Jean Fox from the town of Freetown. I actually started with the Bristol County Commission back in the day. It was the third commission that was formed of the 11 regionals that we currently have. I'm in my third term on the state commission. It's a wonderful opportunity to be here at UMass Dartmouth once again and to see so many familiar faces. I look forward to hearing your stories.
And online, immediate past chair Commissioner Clark.
Good evening, everyone. I am Danella Clark, the proud immediate past chair appointed by former Governor Charlie Baker. I'm in my fourth term and I hail from the eastern part of the state. Thank you all for being here. Excited to hear your stories. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hall. Commissioner Hall, you're muted.
Sorry, I should have that down pat by now. I'm Audrey Hall. Good evening, everyone. I'm in my second term on the commission, appointed originally in 2018 by Senate President Spilka and reappointed in 2021. And I am the immediate past vice chair of the commission. And it's great to be here with all of you this evening. I'm from Framingham.
Commissioner Chataverde.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Divya Chaturvedi, one of the state commissioners, and also the vice chair of the finance committee. And I'm here in Wilmington today, excited to join this public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Shaw?
Good evening. I'm Sonia Shah. I am from Natick. This is my second year as a commissioner, and I was appointed by Senate President Spilka.
And I would also, if Nora Bent, would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Nora Bent. I'm the executive director of the Caucus of Women Legislators, one of the appointing authorities. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, and thank you for joining. And Esther Rogers from Bristol County. She may not be mic'd. All right, well, Esther, you can wave at us when you come back. I'd also like to welcome our regional commissioners from both Bristol and Plymouth County, and commissioners emerita. If anybody is here or online, if you give a wave or do a thumbs up. And finally, a special welcome to the elected officials and public servants joining us here in person as well as online. So we'll be moving quickly through this evening, so please be sure to have your contact information so we can follow up with you. If you have written testimony, we hope that you share it with us via email or post-event on our survey if you are not speaking this evening. At our last hearing, I quoted, actually at all of our last hearings since I've been here, I quoted Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and I'd like to do so again tonight because I think the statement continues to crystallize the work of this commission, which is justice is about making sure that being polite is not the same thing as being quiet. In fact, oftentimes the most righteous thing you can do is to shake the table. So we are here to shake the table tonight. Thank you so much for coming and welcome. And with that, I will turn it over to Commissioner Miller.
Welcome again to all of you. As a new chairwoman for the Program and Planning Committee, it is my honor to join all of you this evening. Again, my name is Dr. Aisha Miller, and I'm thrilled to be with you all. To fulfill our mission, the Commission conducts regional public hearings across the state to collect testimony and opinions on women's issues and concerns. Our public hearings provide a safe and open space for all women in their communities to be heard, to share their lived experiences and the issues that impact their daily lives. Any subject surrounding issues that women face or obstacles that hinder the ability for all women to experience equity are welcome topics. This hearing is a public meeting and the opportunity to be yourself, to find others like you, to share your story in a way that will positively influence the work that we do on behalf of the women in the Commonwealth. The MCSW works to create change in the lives of women, and your narratives guide our policy and advocacy platform. Our charter is very clear. We exist to empower the women of the Commonwealth. We are the bridge between the issues you face and the decision makers who have the ability to change, alter, or prioritize policy changes to make our lives easier. In the past, our hearings have brought attention to issues such as economic independence, self-sufficiency, domestic violence, and access to education and resources that support women and their families, and more. Testimony gathered at the public hearings directly informed the commissioners' legislative agenda, policy priorities, and we advocate year-round. Today's agenda will introduce who we are, why we're here today, and why your voice matters. On behalf of the MCSW, we would like to acknowledge that this meeting is being held in Dartmouth, Massachusetts, the traditional land of, wow, boy, I'm gonna mess this up. Thank you, say it louder. People. We pay our respects and show our gratitude. One more time. I would like to thank the University of Massachusetts Dartmouth for hosting us this evening. Now, just like I had a little trouble with my pronunciation, some of you might be nervous. I'm a little nervous, but you're here today, and that's what actually matters. So please be at ease. And when I say that your voice matters, it actually matters. Your input directly informs our work to advance women and girls across the Commonwealth. But why is public testimony important, you might ask? Well, I'm here to tell you. Public testimony is when you or any member of the general public wants to tell us what they know. Can't afford childcare? We want to hear about it so we can prioritize our legislative policies to increase tax credits, care employees, and more. The purpose of public testimony is to gather facts and to hear from the general public. You can make your testimony here today orally. You can also submit written testimony to the office at any time. We incorporate this into our annual reports, our research data, policy recommendations we make to our appointing authorities, like the governor and the caucus of women legislators, among more. We do have guidelines. We welcome you to state your name, the town you're from, and to speak for 3 to 5 minutes on the issue that has brought you here today. Tonight, we will hear from all of you of what issues that are important to you and greater community of Bristol County. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes for public testimony, and we will give you a gentle time reminder to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to speak and be heard this evening. This is a hybrid hearing, and so we want to thank you to those joining us on the Zoom from all corners of the Commonwealth. We'll also be hearing from some folks testifying virtually. Remember to mute your mic if you're not speaking, to show respect for your fellow participants. And now, without further ado, I would like to pass it back to our chairwoman to moderate the public testimony portion. Many thanks to all of you for being here, being courageous, and standing up for what you believe is right.
Thank you very much. Before we bring up our first speaker, I would like to introduce our executive director, Shaitia Spruill, who we would not be in this beautiful building with all of this happening without her and the work of her incredible team. So thank you, Shaitia. And with that, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Jane Gonzalez, who I believe is with us in person. Or she's not. If Jane comes in, Jane's going to be awesome, worth the wait. It's going to be totally fine. How about next, Sherry Barros? Welcome, Sherry. Thank you.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for having me here.
Hang on 1 second. I don't think that mic is hot.
Try it again.
Hi, everyone.
Nope.
No.
Oh, the online can hear her.
I'll tell you what, how about this? The 3 of us can share.
Thank you.
There you go.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here. My name is Sherry Barrows, and I am a New Bedford native all my life. Currently, I live in an apartment in the south end of New Bedford that I am renting from Newberry Partners, LLC, from Newport, Rhode Island. I've been there for about 14 years now, and I was paying $750 of rent a month, which is feasible for me, being a single parent, and paying rent, gas, lights, as we know, health insurance, life insurance that we all do need. We're not here forever. And I care for my special needs son, who's going through some challenges. Just found out he has Crohn's disease. Bad enough being deaf, ADHD, bipolar. I have to take him to all his appointments, and I have to make sure that I have a car feasible to take him here to there besides going to work. And I take care of my twin sister, who's living her last stages. I work 40 hours, 28 hours with my twin. And the third job's with my son, besides the other job. So I sleep 4.5 hours a day. And I've been up since last night, 12 o'clock a.m., taking my sister to her appointments early this morning, seeing about my son, and I want to be here. This is important. As I said, at Christmas 2021, a new landlord came about and said he had bought the building that I live in, 6 apartments. I was paying $750. He said by January, I would be paying $1,450. That's a big jump, isn't it? So I currently had to take a third job in order to pay for my car, life insurance, dental, what have you, all the bills that we have. That's not even besides food. I don't think about that. I eat 1 time a day. Doesn't look it, but I do. Right now, I'm able to afford any food, relying on the help of family members, despite being very ill in 2022. After the pandemic, I had E. coli for 5.5 months. I had to stay out of work. So you know how that set me back for paying the $1,450. I'm trying to catch up now. I couldn't work, but I got back to work on November 28th. I say that just to show you that I am a very honorable and strong woman. This company has been buying out properties outside New Bedford, which bought 10 properties. One McDonald's in New Bedford on County Street was a unit of housing 15 people. They're all displaced. This is the same company that bought up a property next to McDonald's, Elm Street, along with 2 other multiple family properties in Pleasant Street, totaling 11 units. And I'm quite certain that he will go up again. He wants to rent to people who can pay much more. This is unfair and unjust. I have lived here all my life. Where am I supposed to go if I'm evicted? How am I going to take care of my son, my sister? I am 62 years old, and instead of looking forward to retirement with my grandchildren, spending time, I find myself looking for overtime. Like other young workers, I feel like I'm older, but I feel like I'm younger because that's how I work. Affecting my health as I can't get enough sleep. The anxiety of all this is wearing me down. In addition, I am a domestic violence survivor during the pandemic. I still fear for my life as I stand here today before you. I suffer from PSTD, and I'm unable to go to counseling for myself because I'm working. So I won't be evicted. Because constantly working, the city should not allow these corporations to do this to me and to other residents of our community. They should be protecting us residents instead of prioritizing developers seeking to exploit us. We need rent stabilization to prevent these outside property companies to increase in rents so often with less than 2 months' notice. This is not time to come up with money. Instead of being able to pursue goals of mine, that's in the back burner, that would benefit the city. As an entertainer, I wanted to be a promoter, which I am. I did it for 3 times, but I can't do it anymore because I'm looking to pay things that need to be paid, take care of people that I need to take care of, that I love. And I love my city. This is not no time to come up with money that I don't have to pay for my car that just broke down on me. I'm borrowing somebody's car to get to work, go to A to B, take care of my sister and my son. Instead of being able to pursue goals, it just increases and forces me to think of how can I get another job? It's crazy. Again, we need to help to stop this greed. I'm asking the city of council and the mayor, the legislators, to do something about it. I am losing my faith in the great city of my birth. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that brave testimony. We actually have a hearing dedicated specifically to housing in January for exactly that reason. So thank you so much. Next up for our speakers, we have Carmen Amaral. And please feel free to correct your name when you get up if I say it wrong. Thank you. That mic should work. Should work. And then just a friendly reminder, we're doing about 3 minutes each.
Got it. Thank you. Hi, folks. My name's Carmen Amaral, and I've been a New Bedford resident since I immigrated here when I was really young. I'm also an educator and board president of the Women's Fund South Coast. I'm here tonight as a resident and on behalf of the Women's Fund to share some of the issues we've seen in our community, what the Women's Fund and other organizations have been doing, and to ask for help where gaps exist. I've submitted written testimony around the lack of access to period products in all of our public schools, and as an educator, I see this. Women, girls, young people who have periods miss school because of lack of access. I mentioned the need to fund programs for young women, girls, and gender-expansive youth to develop leadership skills, and the need for more local research on the status of women and girls so we can develop targeted programs and advocacy initiatives. But there are 3 things I want to talk about specifically here tonight. For as long as I can remember, New Bedford's been a city of immigrants, myself, my family, my whole neighborhood included. And right now, there are migrant families coming in. They've made the journey for the same reason that my family did, that so many of our families did, for a better life. There are 9 communities that have hotels housing these families in Dartmouth, Fairhaven, Fall River, Middleborough, New Bedford, Somerset, and Swansea, Taunton, and Wareham. Our shelters and social service sectors are at max capacity, but we need to provide assistance. These migrant families include pregnant people and very young children, and they need support. So many of these folks are Haitian and from Latin American countries. We know that the risk of pregnancy-related deaths for Black women is 3 to 4 times higher than those of white women. We know that childbirth or pregnancy-related deaths in the US are higher than in other countries, other high-income countries. The Women's Fund South Coast went to Capitol Hill to bring attention to this issue and urge for assistance, and I'm here today to do the same. We're grateful to the Immigrants Assistance Center, Sacred Birthing Village, United Neighbors of Fall River, the United Way, and countless individuals, but we need your help in working with the governor, the Biden administration, and other stakeholders to help gain access to work permits and other supports. Mentioned earlier was the cost of childcare, and we are not immune to that here. Right now, the cost of full-time childcare can exceed $3,000 a month for working families, and wait lists can be upwards of a year. This is an incredibly difficult situation for dual-income households of college-educated parents. This is nearly insurmountable for single-income households or households where parents are working low-income jobs. The childcare crisis significantly impacts mothers and other birthing people. And this is exacerbated for Black, Indigenous, and people of color who experience an even larger wage gap. The Coalition for Social Justice Education Fund, who is one of our grantee partners, is working on this issue, but we need education, advocacy, and legislative action to address this nationwide problem, and we need it addressed here in our working class community. We absolutely need affordable childcare. And as an educator, I can tell you that we need universal pre-K. And my goodness, we need better wages for childcare workers and early education workers, 99% of whom are women. And the last thing I want to talk about tonight is access to abortion here on the South Coast. I have a really vivid early college memory of a friend calling me on a landline, devastated. She was in a panic because she was pregnant and she knew that she didn't want to be a parent. This was going to change the entire trajectory of her life. So we turned to the Yellow Pages, called the teen clinic, and at the time, in the late 90s, learned that the closest place for her to get an abortion was in Rhode Island. So we made the appointment and I drove her. That was nearly 25 years ago. But in 2023, surgical abortion is still not accessible here on the South Coast. Some folks have to travel over an hour. Not everyone has the privilege to call a friend, to take time off of work, to arrange for childcare if necessary, and to get a ride to and from surgery. After the overturning of Roe v. Wade, the Women's Fund acted quickly to develop an access fund and partnered with the Planned Parenthood League of Massachusetts to provide funding for transportation, childcare, lodging, and more. We're fortunate that Health Imperatives just started to offer medical abortions in July of this year, but the South Coast remains a surgical abortion desert. I ask that the Commission help us get surgical abortion services in our region and advocate for greater support towards existing services and sexual and reproductive health care. We're grateful that you came to our region to listen to these issues impacting women, girls, and gender-expansive people outside of the greater Boston area, and would love to talk with you about collaborating to bring funding or other resources for a regional study, and look forward to how this testimony hearing can help with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Jemiah Carrasquillo, and please fix how I just said your name, please.
You can't even see me.
Oh, we can see you.
Hi, my name is Jemiah Carrasquillo. I am 13 years old, and I was born and raised in New Bedford. I am a student at our sister school, and today I would like to testify about bodily autonomy and reproductive health care, and how important it is for a woman to have the right to make a decision about their own bodies and reproductive functions. It is at the core of our basic rights to equality. I care about this issue because I have seen how women struggle to have power over their own bodies, and when I am older, I want to have access to the health care that I need. I want to be able to make decisions about my body. Women must be able to participate and have a voice in making the laws about their bodies. All the laws about women are made mostly by men, when it should be my body, my choice, my right. I have seen how women I know suffer from the lack of supported health care. I know that one focus for this commission is to improve maternal care. Many women don't feel supported enough in their pregnancy and afterwards. I've talked to adults in my life, and they've all said they would like more people to speak up about it, about post-labor care, such as postpartum depression. My aunt had postpartum depression, and she had told me that she felt scared, sad, depressed, and most of all felt like a bad mother, and that she was alone. She had no one to turn to nor depend on for help. When I told her I was going to speak today, she had informed me that she wants postpartum depression to be more understood and supported. Postpartum depression is real. We should speak up about it. Give women the option for healthcare that feels right to them. I'm excited to see the bill about birthing justice and access to midwives and supported healthcare. We must do a better job supporting women in their right to bodily autonomy. We need to have more women represented in the government making the decisions that affect women. We need to fight the laws that limit the women's right to govern their own bodies. We need to encourage and fund local organizations that support women, such as the Women's Center and the Sacred Birthing Village. Thank you for listening to me today.
Excellent job. It's hard for us grown-up women to do that. To do that at 13 gives me great hope for our future. Thank you so much for speaking. If you did bring written testimony that you can leave on your way out so we can make sure we've got it captured, that would be amazing. Next up, I have Catherine Martin. Does it say? One down. How about Tanya Lobo? Soraya Dos Santos? Virtual.
Blessings, yes. Peace and blessings. Thank you. If I may request, if others can go before me, I'm currently driving, and I can do my verbal testimony when I'm safe and put, please.
Absolutely, safety first.
Thank
No
you.
problem. Thank you so much. While I find out who is up next, I just want to do a shout out to two additional state commissioners that just joined us. Commissioner Arena and Commissioner Goldberg are also with us today. Commissioner Arena, could you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Tanisha Arena, my pronouns are she, her, and hers. Been on the commission 2 years and was appointed by the Caucus of Women Legislators. Appreciate you all coming out to give your testimony, and for folks online, your input is greatly needed and it helps us advocate for the needs of women and girls across the Commonwealth. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Goldberg, are you in a place where you can introduce yourself? All right, I'm going to guess that she may not. And so I now have, who's up next, guys? Jane? Okay, Jane Gonzalez, are you with us? Gonzalez? Oh, it's spelled wrong. Gonzalez, Jane Gonzalez? Are you either here, online, or in person? If you are online and would like to give a testimony and are not driving and can safely do so, would you please raise your hands and then the staff will flag you on our list. We're going off of a pre-registration. If there's anyone in the room that has testimony to be willing to give it, I saw your hand first, so we'll just go in order. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you so much. And you're going to tell us what your name is, so I absolutely will not get it wrong.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Wendy Garflip from United Neighbors of Fall River. I'm a Dartmouth resident, but I work in Fall River. We have a little show and tell to start us off, okay? This is a menstrual product, menstrual underwear. This is a tampon. This is another kind of menstrual underwear. This is a menstrual disc. But this is a menstrual product in Fall River, a used pad that has been wrapped in paper towels. This is a menstrual product in Fall River, an old roll of toilet paper that is flattened and then inserted in your panties. And this is a menstrual product in Fall River, a sock that is stuffed with washcloths, paper towels, or rags. 2 in 5 people struggle to purchase menstrual products, a 35% increase since 2018. A quarter of Blacks, 23%, and Latino, 24% people with periods strongly agree that they struggle to afford period products in the past year. The most recent Always Confidence and Puberty survey reveals that nearly 1 in 5 American girls have either left school early or missed school entirely because they did not have access to period products. In Fall River, we put the question on the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. 16% of the 675 menstruators we spoke to said they've improvised a menstrual device. 23% missed school, sometimes once a month. Think of that. If you are out of school for 10 days, you don't pass the year. And your family can be turned over to DCYF. And think of where that puts our women and girls in relationship to their fellow students that are male. if they are missing so much school. 23% of those questions experienced humiliation or indignity due to the lack of access to menstrual products. Period poverty is alive and well and living in Fall River. Every month, menstruators struggle to cover the cost of their periods. It is somewhere between $7 and $15. And why the differential? Well, if you can afford to go to BJ's and spend $85 on a giant pack of 200 tampons, then it's $7 a month. But if you have to go to Walmart or Target or your local bodega, it's more like $15 a month. Think of how much food can be purchased if you have 1, 2, 3, or 4 menstruators in your family with that money. And for some people, it means for the whole week, they're home. And that just once again reinforces the cycle of poverty. According to Reuters Health, a survey of low-income women in United States cities find that 2/3 couldn't afford menstrual hygiene products such as tampons or pads during the previous year. 1 in 7 menstruators have asked to borrow a menstrual product, and more than 1 in 10 have had to improvise. That's nationwide. Lack of affordability and information have led many young menstruators to use only 1 tampon per day or 1 pad for multiple days. When products are not available, menstruators put themselves at risk. Toxic shock syndrome, bacterial infections, and effects that can compound their health going forward. Period poverty isn't an easy thing to talk about because periods go hand in hand without what our society sees as shame and stigma. The New York Post featured findings from a study commissioned by Think of 1,500 women and 500 men across the US. The poll found that 58% of women had felt a sense of embarrassment simply because they were menstruating. 42% of women have experienced period shaming, with 1 in 5 being made to have these feelings because of comments made by a male friend. My period. I learned about my period when my mother sicked my college cousin on me and said, take her for a walk on the beach and tell her about her period. And we walked up and down and she said, do you know what your period is? I said, yep. She said, do you know what to do? I said, yep. And she said, great. Then when I got my first period, I told my mother I got my period. And my Eastern European mother slapped me across the face. She had never hit me in my life. I was shocked. I said, why are you hitting me? And she said, to get the devil out. Here I am, this impressionable teenage child, and my mother is telling me this normal function of my body is evil, is something bad. And then we refer to it as the curse, right? That's what I grew up saying. Bloody Mary, riding the crimson tide, the girl flew, on the rag. And my favorite from researching these euphemisms, which is used in Denmark, Canada, and Sweden, there are communists in the funhouse. All of this motivated us in 2019 to create in Fall River the Coalition Against Period Poverty. 16 agencies came together with this purpose. No one should go without menstrual products because they can't afford it or are too embarrassed to ask. That's why, based on the successful program to provide condoms, we believe a new initiative making products and education freely available to all menstruators should be implemented to address period poverty. In schools, distribution of menstrual products should be accompanied by an end to policies which restrict access to toilets and an end to a culture in which menstruators stay at home to manage their periods and are distracted in lessons due to worry about leakage or being too embarrassed to be able to ask for a product. So what are we doing now? Well, Fall River was awarded a community empowerment and reinvestment grant.
Thank you, Ms. Wendy. I'm so sorry. We let you go 6 minutes and you motivated so many other testifiers online that we're trying to move forward. Thank you, but we want all of that.
Unfortunately, it's not really written well. It's just little notes.
And if you could touch base with staff,
Thank
we
you.
do get it all that. would
Thank
be
you.
amazing. Thank you so much.
We just want to remind everyone, we really want to hear everyone speak, so that's why we have a limitation on time, not to be rude, not to cut anyone off, but we really want to give the opportunity for everyone to come before us and speak. Ms. Wendy, that was an excellent testimony with I just told the vice chair, I've never even seen that before, I don't think. And she's looking at me like, like, what do you mean you've seen that? But I really haven't, but I just want to reiterate, I do have a little alarm. So I shut it off and give you an extra 2 minutes. So I don't cut you off at 3, I give you extra 2. So just please, if you can just pay attention to the time, we would really appreciate it.
Thank you. I also had not seen a couple of those. So it's not only issues for us to advocate, but also we're learning some things, which is incredible. Thank you. Next up, I believe I have virtually Deb Falzel.
Yep, thank you. My name is Deb Falzo. I'm actually in Westboro. I'm a co-founder of End Workplace Abuse, and we've introduced H1882, which is the Workplace Psychological Safety Act. Employers are psychologically abusing.
Deb, can you pause just for 1 second? We can't hear you in the room. We just need to turn up the volume a little bit. So you're fine. We're going to fix our tech. Give me 1 second. I'm so sorry to interrupt. All set. Please go ahead, proceed. Thank you.
Thanks. So I'm with End Workplace Abuse we have introduced H1882, which is the Workplace Psychological Safety Act. And employers are psychologically abusing workers. These are predominantly women and people of color through such tactics as false accusations, sabotage, and anti-discrimination law isn't enough to help many of them. In the 80s and 90s, courts' interpretation of anti-discrimination law moved from needing proof of impact to proof of intent, making it ineffective at disrupting the social hierarchies. And yet people of color and women can't typically tie the mistreatment to their membership in a protected class. The abuse results in a host of harms when workers are forced to choose between their health and a paycheck. Anything from shame and self-blame to anxiety, depression, PTSD, suicidal ideation, and suicide. So this bill falls in line with sexual harassment law, which says that a hostile work environment is the baseline for legal recourse, and the target need not suffer from psychological injury. We had a hearing in October where Gretchen Carlson testified with pre-recorded video. She's the one who sued Roger Ailes of Fox News, and Rowena Chu, who is a Me Too silence breaker who worked for Harvey Weinstein, also testified with us, along with about 40 experts and hundreds of people in writing. So I'll just quickly go through the playbook of how this works and then wrap it up. But workplace abuse typically happens when one employee who is generally insecure or jealous is threatened by the competence or the demeanor of another employee. They try to convince both the target and others that the target is incompetent. And in toxic work environments, when the employee reports the psychological abuse to HR or higher ups, those authorities typically willfully ignore the complaints. They're not liable. And so the employer misleads the unsuspecting employee to believe they have a legitimate complaint process to remedy the problem. But they don't. They fail to alter the work environment. They don't remove the stressor. The emboldened bully continues to harass and abuse the target without consequence or deterrent, and the complaint process is unnecessarily prolonged, leaving the employee to either voluntarily leave or get fired because they succumb to the stress of the work environment. There's significant physical, mental, and emotional injury, economic harm, and the unsuspecting employee hasn't done anything to provoke either. And then they incur trauma from that because there's no legal recourse. A lot of in a lot of these situations, the employers are passing on the cost of not dealing with employee well-being internally onto taxpayers, either through things like TANF, SNAP, basically when targets have no safety net in these situations. So this bill will basically give targeted employees, again, mostly women and people of color, legal recourse for employers creating a toxic work environment focused on specific common behaviors that a reasonable person would deem toxic. And it would also require employers to acknowledge, monitor, detect, prevent, discourage, and adequately address incidences of psychological abuse, because right now there's no employer accountability for this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deb. I just wanted to add another quick logistics note for those of you that can see us in the room. We're not over here like on Facebook or anything, or we're like texting back and forth to take different notes on different things and who's up next. So we are actually paying attention. We just may not look like it, but just so you know, we are actively paying attention. And we've got Zoom up here too, so we're not ignoring the screen. All right, so next up, I have virtual Esther Rogers, and I believe, Esther, you are also Regional Commissioner from Bristol County. So look forward to hearing from you next, please.
Thank you, everyone. Yes, my name is Esther Rogers, and I am one of the regional commissioners for Bristol County. And sorry from earlier, I'm on my phone and not my laptop, so it's difficult to navigate between the phone. So I just want to go ahead and say that not only here as a commissioner, I'm also here on behalf of Jane Doe, which is the Massachusetts Coalition Against Sexual Assault and Domestic Violence. I was very moved and motivated by the first person who testified regarding housing. So my position at Jane Doe is Director of Housing and Economic Justice. And I would like to see if in fact we could actually support some different types of legislations. The first one I have up is on the Senate docket number 1818, and it's an act enabling cities and towns to stabilize rents and protect tenants. The other one is House docket 3922, and it's an act enabling local options for tenant protections. The third one is House docket number 3702, and it's an act establishing a special commission to study women in homelessness. And this was filed on February 19th, 2021. So I'm assuming that it has went to committee and never came out of committee. But I like to see this come back to for a legislative policy. I also have Senate docket number 1906, and this was filed on February 18, 2021, and it's an act promoting housing stability and homelessness prevention in Massachusetts. And last but not least is the Homes Act, and it was filed on January 20th, 2023, and it's an act relative summary process and rental assistance. And these are the ones that I want to uplift, because they have an intersection between what the commission is doing regarding housing and homelessness, but it's also impacting our survivors and our emergency shelters in 60 statewide here. And I really want to be able to not only support the state in this endeavor, but also to working with our my own regional commissioners as well. So I'm gonna yield the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next up, we have in person the chair of the Bristol Regional Commission, Tanya Lobo. Welcome, Tanya.
Good evening. Sorry, I was late, stuck in serious traffic coming from Taunton. Good evening, everyone. How are we? Yay? No? Yeah, there you go. So my name is Tanya Lobo. I am the chair of the Bristol County Commission on the Status of Women. And I have a testimony on the entire county, more specifically where I live, my city of Taunton, but also specifically about myself as a candidate for school committee in Taunton. And I truly believe that this affects the work that we do as women. It affects the women and children of our communities. And I hope that you have an open heart when I give you my testimony. As I stand here before you today as a concerned resident of Bristol County, more specifically Taunton, I'd like to shed light on the current state of our communities, with a particular focus on the demographics and the pressing social issues faced by women and girls. Our community of Taunton and Bristol County in general is a cities, they are consist of cities full of rich history, as we all know, and very diverse demographics. Yet our local governments are failing to reflect the true tapestry of our communities. In addressing the demographics of Taunton specifically, it is essential to acknowledge the disparities that persist. Our city is home to a mosaic of cultures, ethnicities, and backgrounds. But as we all know, with all of our demographics in Bristol County changing because of the home insecurities because of the rising rent and the rising mortgages in Boston, or I guess you can say outside of 138, our demographics are completely changing, but the diversity is not adequately represented in our local government. As we discuss the status of women and girls, I have to recognize that the social issues that disproportionately affect them. Women and girls encounter barriers that impede our progress on a daily basis. And I can say ranging from limited access to education and healthcare to unequal opportunities in the workforce have been what we have seen the most in Bristol County. The challenges are compounded by a lack of representation in leadership roles, and that is hindering the implementation of policies that address these unique challenges for women and girls in our communities. One concern that is the underrepresentation of diversity in our local government. Our elected officials should mirror the diversity of our communities. They should mirror the diversity for the people that they serve. Unfortunately, the current state of affairs does not reflect this principle. The absence of diversity, it hinders the perspectives and our ability to create inclusive policies that uplift all of our residents. As we examine the dynamics within our local government, it is truly disheartening to witness the persistence of prejudices and racism in our community. This not only stifles the voices of us as women, but us as minorities, and perpetuates a system that excludes us from the decision-making process. It is disconcerting to witness the perpetuation of stereotypes with labeling those who speak out against these injustices as nothing more than, as I was labeled only a few weeks ago, as another angry Black woman. Our women and girls need to see themselves in our leaders. Representation does matter, and it's not just a phrase or words that are being used in this time because of the social unrest. It truly matters so that the people with the lived experiences can go back and do the work for the community within the larger community. When our elected officials reflect the diversity of our community, it sends powerful messages to everyone. Regardless of their background, it says that we have a seat at the table and we can do the work. I have to pause and say that one of the things that upsets me the most, and I guess you can say the word enrages me, is that for the most part, it's usually us, Black women with our master's degree fighting for a position at the table with people who do not even have the education that we have. And that is truly disheartening. I want to provide inspiration and a sense of belonging in my community where everyone feels heard and understood. I truly urge not only my commission in Bristol County, but all of the commissions to start working on ways that we can coalesce together and start bringing more women candidates to the table. It's really important that not only Black women, but all women, because what we need and what matters to us is not what matters to all of these politicians who continue to receive the votes and get seats at the table when they absolutely are not looking out for us individually as a people, but as women in general. We must work towards a more inclusive and representative local government that champions the rights and aspirations of all residents, but mainly our women and girls. By doing so, we pave the way for a brighter and more equitable future for our girls and our women in our communities. Thank you.
Next up, we have Maya Morgan.
Sorry. Hi, my name is Maya Morgan, and I'm a representative for our sister school. I'm 13 years old, and I'm testifying for free menstrual products. According to UT Health, the average amount spent for a 12-pack of pads is $6. Having to spend $6 or more, depending on how heavy your menstrual cycle is, for every 12 months when women get their period is nearly $100 a year. I believe this fee for menstrual products is unfair. The amount of money the woman in my life has spent on period products is crazy, and we will have to continue spending for the rest of our lives just because of how our reproductive system works. I go to a private school. My school provides menstrual products for their students. I'm grateful for that because if I had gone to a public school, I likely wouldn't have had those materials at my grasp and would have had to manage attending both my classes and not bleeding through my pants. Nurses have reported not having access to menstrual products has affected students' attendance and class productivity. I think that's unfair because students should be focusing on schoolwork instead of having to make sure it doesn't show that they're bleeding. I feel the need to talk about this because 1.8 billion people menstruate every month worldwide, meaning at a given point each day, 800 million women and girls menstruate, comprising 26% of the global population. Considering today's economy, one would assume that many people don't have enough money to purchase menstrual products every month. The federal government does not allow food stamps or WIC funds to be used as payment for menstrual products, making people having to pay for the products with their own money. It's unfortunate that some people have to choose between menstrual products and food when menstrual products should be a basic need. In Massachusetts, approximately 1 out of 10 menstruators live in poverty and struggle to pay for period products. Being deprived of period products is an issue many uterus havers have to deal with. I'm in support of the IM bill because they ensure free menstrual products like pads and tampons in all public schools, homeless centers, county jails, and prisons. Thank you.
Excellent job. Thank you so much. Miyuki.
Hello, and good evening. My name is Miyuki Villavon. Today, I wanted to tell the Commission about STEM education. STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, and is used in education policy or curriculum choices in schools. STEM involves learning how to break down a problem, analyze it, and solve it in a systematic way. I'm here to testify because I believe that young women need more access to STEM education in public spaces. I attend our sister school. OSS is a school that fuels young women's interest in STEM. In fact, we call it STEAM. STEAM includes art. Art is a necessary component because it is the creative piece of the puzzle. We have a whole class devoted to STEAM and attend events, presenting at conferences, and more. Whatever we are interested in is encouraged, and this allows our mind to grow and our creativity to run wild. This is what is possible when young women are given the opportunity to engage in STEAM education. Having these opportunities at OSS has impacted me by making me realize young women can be exposed to things like this so they can see many more opportunities and options of paths you can pursue. It is well documented that female students have the same level of academic preparedness and similar career goals as males, yet they are 1.5 times more likely than men to leave their STEM studies. We have to make sure these retention rates are better by providing a learning environment that is more supportive for women. Young women, students of color, English language learners, and students with disabilities continue to be underrepresented in STEM. Massachusetts STEM Week is an annual statewide event that takes place on the third week of October, but this is not widely known, and we do not have a lot of events in our county. We are a school known for their interest in STEM/STEAM learning and knew nothing about this initiative. I would urge local representatives to work harder to make STEM learning available to all and offer more programs for young women and people of color to participate in STEM. Society needs to do a better job at participating in supporting women in STEM so they can become more comfortable and let it become STEAM. It needs to start in schools, public, private, and anything more. We need to have more after-school programs devoted to STEAM. We need to help girls understand that these fields are open to them. Thank you to the Commission for hearing my testimony.
Excellent. Nice job. Thank you so much. And next we have, I believe in person, the Emerita Past Chair of Bristol, Stephanie Taylor. We got time for both of you.
Good evening, everybody, and Madam Commissioners. There's so much to say in a minimum amount of time of what's going on in Bristol County. But most importantly, because on the day of Advocacy Day, I pleaded to you all and you all gave me your listening ears. So I think the least I can do is give you an update as to what's going on in the hotel, the Clarion Hotel in Taunton. I happen to sit on the board of Triumph Inc., which is the Head Start in Taunton. The update for them is they are actually servicing 10 children out of the 400 families in the hotel. So that is the intake for the young kids that are coming in. It is good that they're doing that. They have run into the same resistance that we did when we went to the hotel, meaning that the organization that the state has contracted with the hotel is what I would say is gatekeeping. I am excited because where I live and where I work in New Bedford, I am grateful to be in different organizations such as the Greater Alliance in New Bedford, where all of these organizations from Dartmouth, Fall River, Fairhaven, New Bedford are working together as those families are spread out in different areas. And I see how they're working together, but we don't have that in Taunton going on. And I can't help but to think, because we're facing so much racism, nepotism, favoritism. In the city, people have these jobs that are supposed to be doing the work, are not doing the work as it relates to BIPOC population. So I'm disturbed by that. But I am grateful that the bridges that when I called the alarm, commissioners reached out, they provided donations. Organizations such here, Wendy's here from the Greater, tell me, Wendy, I'm a little bit nervous, but United Neighbors donated pads and tampons and period panties. We have the Sacred Birthing Village where Soraya stepped in right away when I cried about we have no maternity ward in Taunton, but yet we have a hotel full of pregnant women, and where are they going to go? Soraya has stepped in. North Star Learning Centers has stepped in and provided supplies for these families, as well as the YWCA has supported. Also, the Carney Foundation, who I think that this library is named after, has supported a small grant to the women and children in there. I'm concerned. I'm on the board at Head Start. They've been mandated by the federal government to provide diversity in there. I did a tour of the school last week with my daughter, and in every classroom we went to, the majority of the children in the classroom, at least 50 to 70% are minority children. Not one teacher in those classrooms was of any minority, BIPOC, anything. They were all predominantly white women. And the last thing I'm going to say to support that and respect my time is that their biggest challenge at Head Start, as well as other preschools and areas, is that they can't get diverse candidates. So what I would like to see from the state is providing more funds to let these people that normally don't have access to education to get up to become these teachers, to be able to get their CDAs, particularly BIPOC people, because the children in those agencies and organizations, they're acting out. They have mental health issues, and a lot of it is from what's going on in the world. But I know for a fact that representation matters, and that if they had teachers that look like them, that could relate to them, they may take to them. My daughter is Miss New England, and she went in there and she had her crown on. And if you could see those babies, the way they looked at her, because when do they ever get to see a woman of color come in and represent something like that? One more thing, because this bothered me, and I met with Shalea last week when we were at Putnam Stadium for something else. Equitable access. I learned that in Taunton, in order to be on the police department or the fire department, you have to take a civil service exam. That civil service exam costs $50. If you are a low-income family or what have you, who has $50 to take an exam that you may or may not get the job? And then the way that conversation came up is because the trial court is now offering that they have openings. And so in order to take that test, you can take the class, but you have to pay $100. Instantaneously, you're ruling out a lot of BIPOC and low-income people that can't afford that $100 to maybe get a job. That's it. Thank you, ladies.
Do we have anyone else in the room? Okay, we've got at least 3 in the room, and if you 3 or 4, and then one person online. So beautiful. Please introduce yourself when you come up. Thank you so much.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Julie Parker, and I'm the Assistant Dean of Students and Director of the Center for Women, Gender, and Sexuality here, and a former Bristol County and the Commission on the Status of Women co-founder and member, former board member of the YWCA, and a member of the Women's Alliance of Southeastern Massachusetts. And while I echo all of the points raised regarding menstrual equity and access, I would respectfully request the commission encourage the folks behind the IM bill to consider adding public universities to the list of places that should have access. It is? Oh, we would like to include public universities in the IM bill, because I can assure you that the students here at UMass Dartmouth, many of them struggle financially, and having to supply their own products has been challenging. I'm fortunate that I have generous nonprofits who have helped the Center for Women, Gender, and Sexuality out by providing us period underwear as well as menstrual pads. I have been in charge of a pilot project that we've done in our student center, but it had to be funded by my office and our Student Government Association, which is not sustainable for our department to continue to fund it. So I think it's slightly disappointing that the bill is only targeting K through 12. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, please.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mary Angeli Vargas, and known in the community of New Bedford as Angie Vargas. The reason I'm here today is my friend, sorry. Yes, can you hear me better now? Perfect. Okay, the reason I'm here today is I have a friend who is here, Mrs. Pollock, Marlene Pollock. Is a person for the group for social justice in the city of New Bedford. I am the CEO and founder of the Puerto Rican Latin American Art and Culture Committee, known as PLAC. We in existence since 2012 that we started this project when I was fall to the cracks of the system because I went to a coma. Unfortunately, I got supposedly an allergic reaction. That's what they call it at the time. I believe I was overdosed with morphine, but you know how it is. I went to the cracks of the system because I was just unemployed at the time, and I went into a coma for a month. When I wake up for that coma, I was completely paralyzed and I was trapped in a body that doesn't function, but my mind was completely good in there. I can hear everything. I can know everything. Nobody knows that I was alive. They thought my brain was dead, but I was just trapped in a body. I went through the cracks of the system. When I said this, it's because I got the experience to see how a doctor, when I was bringing in an ambulance to that place to be checked, only said to my nurses, just check on her vitals and send her home. There's nothing we can do for her. She's a vegetable. Family should accept that. I can hear that. It was not fun. And had to deal with that for almost 2 years until one day an accident happened. They left a computer right in my lap and I was able to communicate for first time, moving a finger, typing, I'm here, I can hear you. One social worker from Catholic Social Services named Mac Densrol at the time was my interpreter. He's the one that started doing signals with me so we can communicate. Thanks to that guy, I got a doctor, her name was Marta Sanchez, who played her license in the rules in the middle to give me a chance of life. This woman, what she did was amazing. She gave me the opportunity to go to Mass Rehab and Spalding Rehab in KCAT. I went there completely vegetable, and you can see what happened today. Okay. Thanks to that, I was inspired to create this group. The PRAC work is to help in the community and to educate. Also, we are trying to do things to embetter our women and people as minorities in our community. We've been doing a lot of projects with kids, like doing the pageant for young children's male and female. Pageant that I had to stop because unfortunately, a vicious person accused me of something I never did. And I was able 7 years later to prove my complete innocence in that. Thank God the kid grew up and was able to say the truth that I was innocent, and he was put and pushed to do that because they want to stop me in the community. So that being said, even though I proved my freedom on these charges, I still being persecuted, discriminated, and a lot of things of the projects we've been doing in the community were in pause. One of the things that also have affected me after all this little story, do I making short so you have a little understanding where I'm coming from now. I was a victim of this train new situation in New Bedford. They sold the building I was living for 16 years because I'm an advocate in the community. A lot of people don't like me because I advocate for minorities. I fight for justice because nobody fight for me when I was there alive, trapped in a body. Today, I'm here to say and speak up for myself. That doctor, by coincidence, nobody wants to tell me, I respect my time, just make it short. Now, that doctor never gave me the chance. So by coincidence of life, I went to a therapy one day and found myself in front of his office. And I was able to knock at the door and tell him, do you recognize me? His face dropped. He said, not really. I don't know who you are. I said, well, I'm that lady that you told family to forget about it because she was never going to come back from that coma, from that vegetable state. You should be ashamed and never say never because you're not God. Only God can say never. And if you try harder, no matter where you're coming from, you can do things in the right way. Today, because of the train, I've been evicted of my building. I've been homeless after 16 years living in a building because I could not afford the rent on that building. I have to leave. In that process, I was persecuted by this guy who is new in the community. Even childish stuff like putting cockroaches in a bag because I'm fussy. When I went to open my door, I got cockroaches in my bag of some stuff need to be changed because the Section 8 protect me. They didn't want me in that building, so they made my life miserable to leave. I ended up leaving, but I ended up homeless. I put everything in the storage thinking I was gonna have an apartment. Unfortunately, for $50, because I'm still in the minorities, disabled, and recuperating still, I was unfortunately denied for an apartment for $50. 50. They didn't even try to work with me, a 40% increase that I find out later that exists. And I ended up being in the street. Up to today, I'm still homeless, praying to God to find an apartment I can afford. Even I have Section 8 and I had to lawyer up, going to legal aid services. Also as a woman, Latino, minority, and somebody that fight for the homeless and for the people with addictions in our community, being an advocate, and not being looked with good eyes. And unfortunately, for more you do for your community, sometimes you feel that you're going to be evicted from your community. The only options they give me is to move to another city forever. I don't have nothing against the city, but I am from New Bedford. I live in New Bedford. Why should I have to leave my city? Because a train coming and we need to pay more for one apartment. That is not fair. I don't want to feel I had to be evicted from my city, the city I learned to love, the city that saw me dying and brought me back to life for people to believe that I can do this. Here I'm speaking in here. A woman was vegetable, dismissed, sent home by a doctor that said, I would never walk again, never do it again. And what I gave him a lesson, I never put charges on him, but the system took care of his license, putting it away, because what he did to me, he should not do it to nobody. Never let nobody say never. And even I'm in this position right now of homelessness, I have faith that my situation will improve. But for that, women, we need to support each other. Minorities, we need to be stepping in and be the voice of those ones that cannot talk for themselves. Today, I'm trying to be the voice and do things better in our community. And the only one and way to do this is uniting with others. Thank you, Marlene, for being a friend and always be there for me. I appreciate that. Thank you, and never give up. Follow your dreams.
Thank you very much. What an incredible story. Thank you. I believe we have 3 more.
Hi, everyone. My name is April Jennison, and I'm an organizer with the Coalition for Social Justice. I'm going to talk today about the need to raise the TAFDC cash grant amounts. This is part of my work, but it's also a personal issue for me because I have experience trying to survive on low TAFDC cash grant amounts, both as a young single mother and also as a child. Both my parents were disabled, and there was a lot of years where they weren't able to get Social Security. I guess it's like a lot of denials before you're finally approved. Although my dad had degenerative disc disease, and my mom had scoliosis and Crohn's disease, among a few other things. So I'm going to talk about the need to raise these cash grant amounts. So the Coalition for Social Justice is a partner of the Lift Our Kids Coalition, which is comprised of 160 member organizations dedicated to improving cash assistance programs for the Commonwealth's lowest income children and families. H 144 and S 75, an act to lift kids out of deep poverty, would set a floor for cash assistance grant amounts at 50% of the federal poverty level. Families living below this level are considered to be in deep poverty. Even with 3 recent increases in as many years, the current maximum grant amount for a family of 3 is $783 a month. That's still below half of the federal poverty level, which is $1,036 a month for a family of 3. So that's deep poverty. And this is way below the cost of renting a modest 2-bedroom apartment in New Bedford, as we've heard tonight, which according to HUD right now is between $1,400 and $2,050 a month for a modest 2-bedroom apartment. That's what you can expect to pay. So I mentioned that we have had 3 recent grant increases, but despite that, you heard how low the grant amounts are. And so the 2 reasons for this are that because between the years 1988 and 2019, there was only 1 increase of 10%. And so over that 30 plus years, the cost of living has risen significantly more than 10%. In fact, it's doubled. It's more than doubled. Effectively cutting the grant amount in half. And the second reason is that the grant is not keeping up with inflation, which was already a problem. And now with this runaway inflation that we've seen since the pandemic, every single thing you buy costs more. Living expenses, our heating bills, food, rent, all of these things, menstrual products. All of these things have increased. So this act would not only raise the amount to 50% of the federal poverty level, but it would also include language so that this would be adjusted for inflation every single year. We're so grateful for the incremental increases in the budget, but this shouldn't be a question every year of whether we should raise the cash grant amounts. So they should be adjusted each year automatically. Because these grant amounts are so low, families can't afford basic necessities for their children. They struggle to buy food, particularly at the end of the month when their food stamps have run out. They don't have money to do laundry. They can't pay for school activities for their children. And living in deep poverty has long-term consequences for children's physical and emotional health. Children who grow up desperately poor do worse in school, sometimes because of poverty-related cognitive deficiencies. Sometimes because of bullying and negative self-image, not having access to a computer or a stable place to live. I know that this is true because I lived this. It's hard for me to be here and talk about this today because of the stigma that poverty carries. And it's hard for other people, mainly women-headed families, to come in and talk about this, to share their testimony. Poverty has a way of silencing you. And so as someone who knows what a profound and lasting effect poverty has on children, thank you for listening to me today.
Thank you, April.
Oh, sure. April Jennison.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't, but I can prepare some.
That would be great if you could email to us. Thank you. Next up, I have virtually Soraya DeSantos. No? I'm sorry. Is it someone in person?
Yes, blessings, peace
So
and
virtual
blessings.
first, and then we're gonna go one, and then we're going to another one in person. So Soraya DeSantos?
Yes, good evening.
Soraya.
Yes, blessings. Soraya dos Santos, reporting from New Bedford, Massachusetts. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you to my powerful sisters in the room. I see each and one of you. Stephanie, Tanya, everyone. I'm not going to name names. And the young sisters that is truly trailblazing the way, reminding us of what it is that we were called to do here, the needs of our community. And it is really going to truly take each and every single one of us to turn this around. And so I appreciate the drive, the fire in our bellies this evening. I thank each of the individuals that testify sharing their story and how each of our story weaves into this powerful tapestry, this mosaic of art, as Sister Tanya Lobo put it, of who we are, of who our people are, and, you know, sort of reflecting that in our community, reflecting that in the work that we're doing, what we do, how we do it, and why we do it. So thank you all. I am the founder and director of Sacred Burden Village. We are a grassroots Black women-led organization, specifically a maternal restorative village here in New Bedford, centering the dignity, well-being, care, and support of especially all the pregnant and birthing individuals of our community, but especially our BIPOC community. And so I'm here in front of the commission to testify and to speak on a number of different things that we're seeing, issues that we're seeing. And I will preface by saying, there is mighty powerful legislative work that's happening across the nation, as well as in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, specifically for reproductive justice and maternal health. One of that being a number of bills that's in the legislation waiting to be passed. One of them is doula care, being able to provide doula services to Medicaid recipients, and for doulas to receive compensation, reimbursement for that service, as well as previously under Governor Baker administration, to put together a special commission on racial inequities in maternal health, to create to investigate and study methods to reduce maternal racial inequities in maternal health throughout the Commonwealth. And so I'm asking the commission to please work with us in the field of maternal health and wellness to revitalize this report. Our newest administration, Governor Healy, has put together listening sessions abruptly, which we appreciate the need to constantly ask the community of our experiences. But it's also important that there has already been a commission, and I've sat on this commission to create a report to talk about what are the various ways that we can make maternal health and wellness better. And so asking for accountability of our current administration to do, or to continue to help us to support the work that has been done before. As others have testified here, Stephanie Taylor had mentioned sort of Sacred Burden Village work with the migrant women in Taunton at Clarion shelter. I've been there since June and have been doing a lot of work with little to no resources. I appreciate the support of YWCA, North Star Learning Center, Carney Foundation, the Women's Fund, that continues to support us, but we need more support to be able to do what is necessary in and around Bristol County. And why we need to do this is when we compare the data and statistics of infant and maternal mortality and severe morbidity. When we look at Bristol in comparison to Suffolk and Worcester County, which are two very large counties, bigger than Bristol County shows that we have the highest severe maternal morbidity as well as infant mortality. So I'm calling upon our legislators, I'm calling upon our local leaders, community, that we need to bind together to be able to protect those that are most precious in our community. We're talking about those, women families that are literally God's hands and feet, and the well-being of our community is reflected on the well-being of our mothers, fathers, and infants, especially newborn families. And also call in for support in this support in the influx of migrant families that are coming into our community. State Senator Liz Miranda recently put out a letter asking the governor, the new administration, to expand services to individuals seeking shelter placements beyond the maximum capacity of 7,500. I'm asking, in addition to providing shelter, that we are conscientious about many other resources these individuals need, especially pregnant and birthing individuals. From nutrition, many of the women in the shelter are experiencing severe maternal morbidity. We're seeing elevated hypertension, malnourishment, a number of different things that really is a detriment to the health and well-being of not only our pregnant and birthing families, but our community, and of course the housing injustice, as housing injustice is maternal and infant health injustice. Thank you all for your time. I will also submit a written testimony with a lot more additional things. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up, I think we had someone else in the room. 3 more. Oh. Yep.
Hello. Hi, can you hear me?
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Very good. I am Nadesh Joseph, a resident of New Bedford for the past 37 years. From Boston, means I'm still a true Bostonian. I have been with New Bedford school system for the past 29 years, a realtor for the past 40 years. I have served the New Bedford community as a volunteer for the past years, recently helping the Asian migrant from different sides like Somerset, Seaport Inn, and elsewhere, which give me the needs to start a community center for our community. And my friend here, Mary Renee, we have been working pretty hard, helping volunteer and helping these migrants to settle in and feel the needs that we could start a community center. And I welcome any help I could get from this commission to get this started, as I'm very new at this. And thank you for listening. Yeah.
Next up, we have virtually testifying Natalia Royce.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Natalia Frois. I'm speaking directly from Hyannis, Cape Cod, Massachusetts. I'm also a commissioner at Cape Cod and Island Commission Status of Women. I'm here to testify. I have been doing some work in the community. I also serve for the Hyannis Public Library Board, and I also work for Cape Cod Council of Churches as a program director for confidential care for foster families. And I'm also an entrepreneur. I have the international business relation business that I mentor and give business consult for small business owners. And I also create business events and culture events here in Cape Cod. So I'm very involved with helping immigrant entrepreneurs and also small business owners to thrive and connect with each other. Lately, when I opened my company was right in the beginning of the pandemic in January 2020, and I have struggled myself through my former job that I was doing through the pandemic. It was very, the clientele I used to work with as an advocate for domestic violence and sexual assault survivors in Portuguese and Spanish. So my clientele doubled. And also, it was just, I couldn't fit in working from home because I struggled as well. I gained a lot of weight. I gained like 30 pounds in 6 months and I just couldn't do it anymore. So I quit my job and I started working full time for myself for 6 months. I started struggling financially. I had to go through the Department of Transition Assistance for help with food and other things. I ran out of my savings because I invested in my business and I couldn't get a clientele. So I decided to go look for part-time jobs so I don't, stop dreaming and don't stop my business. So now I work 2 part-time jobs and I'm still trying to build up my business. And with my own struggles since 2020, trying to be a woman of color business owner and having multiple jobs here on the Cape to survive. And on a side note, I've been divorced for 8 years and I still live with my parents since I divorced because I cannot afford a 2-bedroom apartment with my daughter because the rentals here for a 2-bedroom apartment is about $2,500 a month to $3,000 a month just for rental. And I cannot afford that because I have other things to pay. So I cannot afford $5,000 a month to live in a 2-bedroom apartment with my daughter because I don't earn that a month at all. And I have a master's degree, I have a bachelor's degree, I'm fluent in 3 different languages, and people call me asking me to do work for them for free. And so that's my struggle because I have been a line of working for a nonprofit, and I have a struggle getting clientele because they think my services are still for free. And talking with other women that are entrepreneurs, they're immigrants. I have Social Security, I'm a US citizen, I can apply for SBA loans, I can apply for other things. But as I see other women that wanted to grow as an entrepreneur, that they don't have a Social Security number, but they want to grow, they're stuck because there's no loans available for people without Social Security. This week, a client of mine wanted to buy her boss business. So I went through the bank with her. The bank denied her because she doesn't have a Social Security number, so they didn't grant her a loan. And her boss is retiring and moving back to Brazil. And this was a great opportunity for her to have that business. But there's nothing out there for people that want to grow. There's just some help there for people that are struggling with food to get DTA assistance. There's some limited help there for housing. There's some limited help there for other things, food pantry and shelters. But then when someone wants to be an entrepreneur and they have limited documentation, they get stuck. If they don't have cash, they're stuck because the banks won't finance anything. And I have noticed that there's potential of growth.
Thank you, Natalia.
Yeah, sorry, I went over.
We are out of time, but if you could share that testimony with us online, that would be amazing. Thank you so much.
Okay.
We have somebody else in the room? Sure, you're not. Thank you. And then you. Here. So we're gonna flip you two. We're gonna do the woman in the back, and then you, if that's okay. You can't see each other. We get it. No problem. So we'll do 1, 2.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. I just get so excited after hearing everyone's testimony. Hi, I'm Julia Keogh. Nice to see you all. Hi. No, this is just, no, I'm not talking from this. This is just, yeah. Did my time start yet? No, just kidding. No, I swear to God, don't get nervous. I just carry this around as like a little blanket. No. Yeah, no, that's a good one. Now I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, yeah, see, well, okay. I don't need these 'cause I'm not gonna read anything. How's that? I'm a mess. This stuff makes me nervous. Hi, nice to see you. I'm Julia Keogh. I'm the CEO of Health Imperatives, and we're a nonprofit that serves all of Southeastern, well, a lot of Southeastern Mass, including this area and the Cape and Islands. We serve about 20,000 people a year. Most are women and girls. And we have 7 sexual and reproductive health clinics, including one in New Bedford and one in Wareham. And also in this area, we provide WIC in the South Coast. We have it out of our office in Wareham, and we do a lot of work in harm reduction for people who are homeless and have substance use disorders. And in the recent years, we've been doing a lot of work with women who've been commercially sexually exploited. And what I want to talk about, we do a lot of other things with like rape crisis, domestic violence, all of the primary and secondary care for youth and DYS, and some programs for young families. So we see how the growing wealth gap is severely increasing health disparities in New Bedford, this entire area, and all of Massachusetts. And I've been really struck by all of the comments here today and how they are very similar to the comments I want to make. Before this, I was talking to April about, I actually was commissioner of DTA before, worked at the governor's budget office and at the executive office of housing and livable communities. And the reason I'm telling you is because my comments are about how the budgets are done and how that's actually exacerbating racial and other health disparities, despite the government's sort of focus on DEIB. And I mean this in the best possible way. I really am so grateful to be doing this work in Massachusetts. And recently, Health Imperatives started doing medication abortion in July and ended the abortion desert in this area. Of course, there's still a lot of work to be done. But what's really disturbing is that while there was new money to provide medication abortion, we have a 10-year contract for the same amount of money for all of our sexual and reproductive health care. That's birth control, that's cancer screenings. 40% of the women we serve have no insurance. That is gender affirming hormone care, that's HIV prevention, hepatitis C treatment, STIs, everything. And for us, sexual and reproductive health care is one piece of women and girls' economic stability. And so if this is going down year after year, as healthcare costs rise, as wages go up, as rents go up, that means we're going to serve fewer people or have fewer services. At the same time, we're in the hotels across the area for the migrants, and it's appalling. And it's, you know, a humanitarian crisis. But what's happening now is that the budgets are going to come out. I'm afraid we're going to have 9C cuts, and that the FY25 budget is going to go down. And what we're going to see is low-income people are going to be pit against other low-income people. Different programs will be reduced. And, you know, at the same time, we have contracts with multiple agencies. I love them all, and I was on the other side, so I get it. But there are these bureaucracies and these siloed programs are making it more and more difficult for us to do the job. And what really strikes me is during COVID, which affected everyone, the government was able at the federal and state level to streamline, to get that $1,400 out to every single person who made $100,000 or less. But when it comes to low-income people, nothing can change. Okay. And so right now, low-income people and people of color are struggling a lot more than the rest of us did during COVID, okay? The impacts are horrific. And so I just have 2 examples. One is we had a woman from a Latin American country who came here with nothing. And in Massachusetts still, even though it was the beginning of healthcare reform or whatever, 40% of the people we see don't have it. And a lot is because of immigration status. You're only eligible for catastrophic insurance still in Massachusetts if you have certain, if you don't have, certain status. And so that means that you don't get preventive care. And so a woman came to us because we have free care regardless of income or status, and had an exam, and the pap was abnormal. And because we raised private money to do colposcopies and leaps, which are screening tests and procedures, we found she had stage 3 cancer, connected her to Boston Hospital, and she's now doing better and got treatment. But if she hadn't come to us, it would have been too late. And if I can't get additional funding over the next 3, 4, 8 years, because, it's level funded or even cut, we're going to be able to serve people. I don't have to get the funding. If the government funded women, regardless of immigration status, just like they do everyone else, and gave everyone mass health standard, then I don't need the money. I don't care. But that's a huge gap. The other gap is a young woman we're working with who is developmentally delayed, but ineligible for DDS services. So she was involved in a gang in New Bedford. She was sex trafficked. She had a history of sexual abuse in her own family. So she was in and out of homelessness. And we got a referral because we do services for women who are trafficked, but there's no housing. And I used to work in housing. So I've been trying to shake out resources from the state. I have a partner, nonprofit developer, who's developing housing for us, but there are no services that are dedicated to women who are trafficked. And they fall through the cracks of the system because they get kicked out of certain housing. They're not eligible for family housing when their kids are taken away, and they're not eligible for chronic homeless housing that's really suited to men because they haven't been there long enough or on the street because they're often with their pimps. So people are falling through. Now this young woman is in a program that is funded by the Bureau of Substance Use Services, and it doesn't come with enough services. So she's going to get evicted and be on the street again. And yet there's money in the system. It's just there's a little in substance use, a little in mental health, a little at DDS, and she doesn't qualify for any of it. And there's nothing for people who are trafficked. And we all just saw the horrible story in the Globe about the big sex ring. It's happening everywhere, but women and girls aren't really seen. Sexual assault isn't seen as the crime it is.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
I'm so sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Greetings, some little housekeeping. We have a little about an hour, but we want to move smoothly. So, young lady, I'm sorry, please sit down. I'm doing some housekeeping. I want everyone to leave out of here very happy with us. Ma'am in the green sweater, you have stood up, raised your hand a half hour ago, the poncho, yes. So you're gonna be next. Then the young lady in the black and white. And there was someone on this back corner here that I saw a hand pop up and down, and we don't want to miss anybody. So anyone in the room that wants to testify, other than those two, please stand so we can see who you are. Did we get everybody in the room? Okay. Anyone online that we missed, please raise your hand symbol so our staff can see who you are. And so the main housekeeping, we want everyone to speak. We want everyone to testify. Our cute little chime that you think my sister commissioner is just playing with. If you hear it twice, that means you've spoken for 6 minutes. So if you hear it twice, you've spoken for 6 minutes, right? And after that, we still let you go because my beautiful sister here, she's so passionate about hearing everything you're saying, she's not stopping you, right? But this Leo, this mermaid, right? I'm gonna stop you because I want to hear the ones that didn't get to stand up yet. All right, so, sister in the green, and then please say your name clearly so we can get it in our notes. If you don't think we got it, Raven and Shalea sitting at this beautiful table, please make sure they get your names because we want to make sure we include everyone's names. Right. All righty, thank you so much. Now back to the nice one.
Thank you. It truly is. We are all here as volunteers. We're here because we care about what you're saying. So it's very hard to pay.
I just want to say it's so great that you are having this here tonight, because I know for some of the people that I brought, you know, it's really a riveting, super experience. So thank you for coming down to New Bedford. I'm Marlene Pollock and I live in New Bedford, and I'm one of the co-founders of the Coalition for Social Justice. And I'm here tonight to bring out the minimum wage. We work with Raise Up Massachusetts and have been involved in raising the minimum wage since 1998. Yeah, a long time. And the problem with raising the minimum wage in Massachusetts is that you have to wait until you get a certain coalition together, that you get legislators who say, yes, this makes sense. And then you fight for this increase in the minimum wage. We were responsible for getting the $15 an hour, but look how long it took us to get there. And now we're here and it's not enough, okay? Now you need $18 an hour to pay for what $15 an hour, you know, got you before. As everybody has said, food, heating, other basic necessities, rent has risen, but workers need a raise too. We want to cap the rents and raise the wages, right? Cap the rents, raise the wages. Yes, well, women, so there's about a million people who would benefit if we can raise the wage to $20 an hour. And I say this kind of with a heavy heart because the schedule is that we wouldn't get to $20 an hour till January 1st, 2027. You know, by then, guess what? It's not going to be enough, right? And talking to Sherry Barros, who says she needs $24 right now. But, you know, we have to, the legislature is a beast, and you have to find those legislators who will support you, and there are many of them. But, you know, then there's the business interests who push against you and don't want you to raise the wages. So it's a struggle to get where we've gotten. But more money in the pockets of working people means more money they can spend at local businesses, boosting our local economies. From June 2014 to the present, as the Massachusetts minimum wage rose from $8 to $15, our state's economy added more than 250,000 jobs, and unemployment dropped to the lowest rate ever. I mean, and we would like to see a minimum wage with indexing included, so we don't have to come back every time when the prices and the cost of living go up, then the minimum wage would automatically go up. I'm talking about the act, and I'm going to give you these papers. An act relative to raising the minimum wage, S 1200 and H 1925. And we're also looking to raise the tipped workers. So believe it or not, minimum wage is $15. The tipped worker wage is $6.25. And that will go up to $12 on January 1st, 2027. So I stand here before you saying we need to get behind raising the minimum wage. And maybe if we have a big enough coalition, we could make it for 24, like Sherry says. So, and a million workers will be represented. And Tanya Lobo says, what about the women? What percentage of you think of those million workers are women in the state of Massachusetts? 50%, 60%? So women will definitely benefit, single moms, heads of households. So I hope that the commission will go all in on this. Thank you so much.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Pega Rohani. I'm here today representing the Coalition for Social Justice Education Fund and the Common Start Coalition. I am a proud advocate for affordable, accessible, high-quality early education and childcare. and I'm happy to be serving as the new grassroots campaign coordinator for the Common Start Coalition. We are a statewide partnership of organizations, parents, early educators, providers, and advocates with over 160 member organizations across Massachusetts. Our goal is to ensure that our vision is reflected in policy. We want affordable care options for families, significantly better pay and benefits for early educators, a new stable source of funding for providers, high-quality programs and services for children, substantial relief for businesses and our economy. And as you know, we had an incredibly successful hearing in October, and now we need to focus on continuing the momentum. With that being said, we are planning a series of regional events, and we need your support, all the support we can get. These events will be taking place all over the state and culminate in a large finale in Boston. The events will be in early December and January. If anyone is interested in helping us plan these events, please find me before we leave today and we can exchange contact information. We would really love to collect personal stories from early educators, providers, and parents and families. We're going to have 10 to 20 constituents and coalition partners meet with legislators in their district. And we're still working on locating a space, gathering speakers, and we need to set a date and time. So that's what we need your help with. Yeah, this will be a facilitated conversation with legislators, and it'll give everyone a chance to join the conversation and help us advance the Common Start agenda. So.
Thank you very much. So we are nearing the end of our testimony time. Did we miss anyone? Going once, going twice.
So, Ms. Wendy, we're all gonna come to you for some of those period panties, you know that, right? And we're really gonna work towards more information if we can from you. All right? Yes, ma'am.
New Bedford and Wareham Family Planning also gives out period products. Thank you. And Wendy says we have a plethora of panties, discs, cups, pads, and tampons for as long as they last. So I think that that's getting through to our live streaming to those in the room, and that will certainly be part of our notes from this event. Thank you so much. And I am going to turn it over to Vice Chair Tuitt to wrap us up. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us for our final in-person hearing for 2023. While the issues we face are multiple, together we can tackle anything. We invite you to share your testimony with us in writing. Drop it off to the young ladies or email it to us to inform our 2024 legislative priorities and future data reports on these crucial issues, right? We value your input on beautiful slides. You see all of that? QR codes and everything up there for you. We value your input, and we would be grateful if you would take our brief exit survey. We also have paper pictures. Physical surveys are available, or you can scan the QR code upon leaving. For those mature communities, the QR code will take you to the survey. We will also be sharing the link in the chat, which our awesome intern Lauren has done already, and will do again if you don't see it. And we will follow up with you with email, right? We invite you and we challenge you to stay plugged in to the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women, right? Join our newsletter, sign up and get our newsletter. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. I think sometimes we even have some TikTok stuff out there. So make sure you lock in with us. Join us for any of our upcoming events, and make sure you visit our beautiful new website. We have it's connected to the regionals. I'm getting there, Tanya. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Right. Listen, so I'm so proud of you too. So our new website now links you to all of the regionals, especially your regional Bristol County. It'll take you straight to them, right? We have some important upcoming dates, but also the regional thing, the reason why we have that, so you know when they're going to meet. You can always go to our website, know when they're going to meet and when they might need your assistance, your help. We have some upcoming dates we want you to plug in. Take out your calendars, your tablets, whatever. January 15th, 2024. It's going to be virtual. We're having a hearing and our focus is housing. Right? We needed it, so we're going to do it virtually. So make sure you hit our website, Bristol County's website, and we'll have all that information on the way out. March 28th, 2024, we're going to be in Gardner. So if you want to join us out there, come on, take the drive. We have our Girls Empowerment and Leadership Initiative 2024. It's going to be April 20th, and it's going to be at Simmons. So keep an eye out for the young sisters. We want you guys to please attend. We have other things for you guys too. On our Facebook page, we have a young girls page, and it's only for the young ladies. You can log in there and get in there and be a part of that. We're gonna share everything, make sure Shalay and Raven have you locked in, all right? And we wanna say thank you for coming out to this beautiful campus. We wanna thank UMass Dartmouth for having us here. We wanna thank Bristol County Regional for allowing us to invade their territory and listen to everyone and hear what everyone has to say. Everyone that's virtual, we want to thank you for being here with us also. And yeah, that's about it. Networking and shaking hands and swapping out some business cards is what's next. Our executive director wants to come up and give you some additional stuff.
I just want to thank you all for attending, both virtually and in person. Thank you. We do have some snacks in the back. I don't want to take it home, so if you will take it home for me, that will help. Again, if you've registered, we have your contact information, but if you walked in tonight or if you just popped into the Zoom from our Facebook link, please get back to us to make sure we get your contact information and we can stay connected. There's also some QR codes on the table on your way out. You can sign up for our newsletter and then find all the relevant links that Meredith mentioned.
One last plug. As you know, every year, our beautiful cheer program planning, we do Commonwealth heroines. If you feel that there's someone in your community that is deserving of the Commonwealth heroine, get it to Tanya so Tanya can get it to the legislators, right? And it could be, we've done 14, we've done 102. So, I knew she was going to do that. So Commonwealth heroines is our second biggest thing that the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women does. My chair of program and planning, her committee leads it. And it's women who are not in the limelight, not in the newspaper, not in the media, women who in your community are doing things for women and girls to empower, uplift, and enrich their community, right? And we want to acknowledge them. We want to give them their roses now, their yellow rose now, right? And we want to acknowledge them in a way through their legislators. And we, the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women, June 14th, will be presenting women. This year, 2023, we did 130 women all across the Commonwealth. We have 200 legislators in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. One day we're going to hit 200 women, women and girls. So help us get there. But for 2024, if you know someone and you think they're deserving, let Chairwoman Tanya know. Thank you so much.
Okay, really, one last thing. I do want to just say again, thank you, thank you, thank you. I know it's not easy to come in the middle of the week. It's dark out, it's cold. So I just want to really express how grateful I am for all of you showing up here with us and those online that took some time to listen to us and share space with us today. But I would be remiss if I don't shout out my incredible staff, Shalea, Raven, and Ellen back in the booth. You can't see her, but she's back there helping us. And the commissioners, thank you so much. So I just wanted to make sure Lauren, oh my gosh, Lauren's here too. Thank you again and have a good night. Get home safely. Take the food.